Episode 78 is on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the best sports show out. You're watching Highly Opinionated. I'm your co-host, Josh. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm working with the best co-host in the game. What's up, JG? How you doing, bro?
J-Dub, Ross, what's going on with y'all, man? Happy Tuesday. My fault.
Monday, Tuesday. All the days bunched together. It's all the same, man. Glad everything is good with you, man. We just wrapped up a college basketball season that we'll get into momentarily. So great time to be a sports fan. We're on to the Masters. The NBA playoffs is fastly approaching. Got some NFL news. So great time to be a sports fan, JG.
It always is.
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, the most important guy here on the show. Guy that makes us look good with no makeup. My guy, shout out to Ross, man. What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm good. How you feeling, Josh?
Good, man. Always great to be in the presence of greatness, man. Always. I appreciate that.
Likewise, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to episode 77 last week. Special thanks to the great Kyle Wise for coming on the show and blessing us with his presence. If you guys haven't checked that out, make sure you go check out episode 77. We have a jam-packed episode 78 for you. Before we get started with that, again, thank you guys for all the love and support. We're Highly Opinionated. It means the world to us. You found me that you guys not only watch the show, want to come on the show, tell your stories, tell what you think about what's going on in sports. Truly means the world. So forever grateful, forever thankful, forever blessed. So thank you guys. We greatly appreciate it. Ross, speaking of social medias and people following, let them know where they can follow us at on our social medias.
Yes, sir. Y'all can follow us on Instagram at Highly Opinionated __. Follow us on TikTok at Highly Opinionated _SS. Follow us on Twitter or X at Highly O_SS. And of course, you're already on YouTube, so make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment.
We love all the engagements, all the interactions. If you agree, we love it. If you disagree, we love it. No matter if you love sports, this is the place for you. JG, my brother, you ready to get episode 78 started?
Oh, yeah, let's get into it.
Let's work, bro. And let's start off with national champions. Let's start off with the national champions. Congratulations to the UCLA women's Bruins team. They won the national championship. They defeated South Carolina in a blowout of a national championship game. The game was really, truly never even close. 79-51. UCLA's seniors scored basically all the points in their NCAA tournament run. UCLA was led by Lauren Betts. She had 14 and 11. Gabriella Hodges, Jaime Hodges' little sister, she had 21 and 10. Kiki Rice, shout out to her. She's from Maryland. She had 10 points in the game. I want to give a special shout out to Corey Close. That is the UCLA women's head basketball coach. Congratulations to Coach Close. She's been there for 15 years, man, and got that thing right and finally won a national championship for UCLA. Congratulations to UCLA on winning the national championship. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's not too often that we see the great Coach Don Staley look helpless on the sideline. Before the first half was over, she had a look of like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. That's before the first half, and it's rare. Like, and an interesting point. This is the second national championship game, I believe, in a row, if I'm not mistaken. That I could be wrong, actually, but the second national championship under Don Staley, where they've gotten to this game and they've gotten blown up. Now, this doesn't.
It was two in a row. They lost to UConn last year in the championship game.
It was 2 in a row. Gotcha. Okay. This doesn't in any way, shape, or form make me think of Don Staley any less. She's a fantastic coach. Unbelievable. You know, if anyone is thinking less of that, you're just out of your mind. Sometimes the better team just has a better day. Sometimes it comes down to making shots. And, you know, you wonder if South Carolina was emotionally worn out from that beatdown they put on UConn. It was a tough game for most of the game, but then South Carolina pulled away late. And we all know what happened, you know, post-game with, you know, the altercation with, you know, Coach Staley and Gino Auriemma. You wonder if that had some kind of an impact psychologically with South Carolina, where they were a little worn down. Now, I'm not accusing them of that. You know, sometimes it's just not your day. You would hate for it to be in the national championship game, but that's the way the game works sometimes. And we can't take away credit from how great this UCLA team has been. absolutely destroyed the Big Ten. Didn't lose actually in the conference.
They were undefeated.
Swept the entire Big Ten. And they came into this national championship game having lost just one game against Texas. So the number one seeds were all had 35 wins or more. Just complete and utter dominance by each number one seed. And the best team at the end of the day won. UCLA was great all season long, and they showed why they were one of the best teams, if not the most complete team in women's college basketball. They will graduate 6 seniors from that team, so they will lose them to. And the starting 5 is just all likely going to be gone to the WNBA draft. So you're talking about just a highly experienced team, highly intelligent, been through the ringers of these college basketball seasons where you come up short. You know, they got blown out in the Final Four before. They've gone through it. So good redemption story for this UCLA Bruins team led by the great Lauren Betts. You know, just well deserved. You know, having lost one game all year, they were one of the best teams all season long, and they were won quite fittingly in dominant fashion.
Yeah, UCLA lost last year in the Final Four. Congratulations, senior-led team, stuck together, went through the downs, then got back up. The final up, which is the national championship. Congratulations to the UCLA Bruins on defeating South Carolina and winning the national championship. Let's move over to the men's side, brother. We have a national champion crowned in that. Congratulations to the Michigan Wolverines. Go Blue. They defeated UConn 69-63. UConn was led by Alex Caravan. He had 17 points, 5 of 14, 3 for 10 from the three-point line. He had 11 rebounds. Michigan was led by Elliot Godot, who was the MOP, most outstanding player. He had 19, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. I'll start us off with this one. I'm actually happy for Elliot Godot. I'm glad he transferred from that other school in North Carolina to a real school. Look at yourself now, brother. You won the national championship. So congratulations. No shot. No, congratulations to Michigan. We said this. First of all, let me do this. I said this to you. I got to give it to you. Congratulations to the Big Ten. They are the best conference in basketball. It might be the best conference in football, but they damn sure the best conference in basketball. You had multiple teams in the Final Four. You had multiple teams in the Elite Eight. So the Big Ten is the best conference. Michigan and Arizona, I thought, were the 2 best. Michigan, Arizona, and Duke were the 3 best teams I saw play college basketball all season. And Saturday night, we saw what Michigan did to Arizona. So congratulations to Michigan. Congratulations to the team. Congratulations to Coach. The coach name is slipping my mind now. He was at FAU. Dusty May. Congratulations to Dusty May. That's a big deal. Now we know that he's staying at Michigan. North Carolina has that coach. Shout out to them hiring Mike Malone from the Denver Nuggets. So majority of the big jobs in college basketball are filled, and Michigan ends the season on top. Congratulations to Michigan. Go Blue.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, you know, when you're right, you just end up getting proven right. You know, you don't have to keep making an argument. You just sit back and let everything play out the way it is. Michigan, in dominant fashion all through this tournament. You know, we're crown champions. Now, close game with UConn. This was one of those games where the stats can be a little bit misleading. UConn had 22 offensive rebounds against Michigan.
Yeah,
22. Michigan was the bigger team. So you're telling me, like, how does a team that has 22 offensive rebounds out-rebound their opponent 46-39 and still find themselves losing? Well, here was to tell the story. UConn was 9 of 33 from three-point range.
Yeah.
That was the first thing. And the other thing, which was even more telling, was Michigan's length. Michigan did to UConn what I thought Illinois would do to UConn. They shot a season worst 12 of 35 from two-point range. That's 34%. That's a season worst for UConn. They haven't been any worse, including they were just 4 of 10 shooting at the rim. What does that tell you? John Mara, Johnson at the rim. They have big guards, Yaxel Lindenberg. They switched out high on their shooters. When you switch out high on the sets that UConn runs and the offense that they want to shoot threes. That's what UConn wants to do. When you switch high, that disrupts the flow of UConn's offense and the ability to get a clean, uncontested three-point shots. And you combine that with, because they were playing on so high, it makes UConn, when you face pressure, your natural, what you should do is drive the basketball. Okay, well, now you're driving the basketball into some trees. and you're about to have contested 2-point shots. That right there was the difference in why Michigan won this game. It wasn't because UConn wasn't good enough. They played phenomenal, in my opinion, given the circumstances, because Michigan didn't shoot much better from 3 at all. They were just 2 of 15, so they shot terrible. Jackson Lindenborg was not himself. He came into this game injured, so he obviously wasn't at his best. But the difference was the length. John Mara, Johnson, they both dominated the game on the inside. Points in the paint was dominated by Michigan early on. They ended up being a deciding factor as well. But that length and that bad shooting from 2-point range from UConn was why Michigan won this national championship.
No, you said it best. Points in the paint, 36-22. Michigan all year long, all season long, tall, lengthy team, and they showed that. They showed that throughout the whole season. They showed it against UConn in the national championship game. The fact is, and another thing about Michigan that's underrated, again, this goes back to the length, but their defense, they can lock you down in certain moments. Whereas though, yeah, you can get offensive rebounds because you're missing your shots. They just haven't grabbed the rebound yet. So
UConn a jump shooting team. When you shoot a lot of threes, it's going to be a lot of long rebounds.
Be a lot of long rebounds.
The offense is normally at an advantage with long rebounds.
So for me, I look at it as congratulations again to Michigan. They showed that they were the best team all season. They beat Arizona. They destroyed Tennessee in the Elite Eight to get to Arizona, and then they defeated UConn. Special shout out to Danny Hurley. I know he didn't make history, but in my opinion, the only coach that you can say is better than Danny Hurley right now is Rick Pitino because of longevity. But the best coach in college basketball right now to me is Danny Hurley. He get this UConn team. No disrespect to their players, no disrespect. I would love to have you on the show. It wasn't the most talented UConn team. I saw a UConn team with Caravan and Stephon Castle a couple years ago. They won the national championship. So this team wasn't in that mode, a good team. And I felt like Danny Hurley got the best out of this UConn team. So for them to make the national championship, we all know how they got there, the Elite Eight. We got that cool. They won they beat Illinois in the Final Four. You feel me? They deserve credit. And before the Elite Eight game, I don't even talk about that game, but the game before that,
you mean the one against Duke?
The game before that, they played Michigan State, and they beat Michigan State to get to the Elite Eight game. They won the Elite Eight game, and then they beat Illinois in the Final Four, and then
you mean the one against Duke?
They maxed out. UConn maxed out their season. Congratulations to Danny Hurley for maxing out his team and being a great head coach. Congratulations to the Michigan Wolverines on the national championship. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a quick break. You're watching Highly Opinionated. We will be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode of Highly Opinionated is sponsored by Wolves of War. In some of the episodes, you can see my co-host and Ross wearing a brand called Wolves of War. Wolves of War is our first sponsor, ladies and gentlemen, and we are so thankful to have those guys sponsoring Highly Opinionated. Thank you very much. The actual meaning of Wolves of War is that it represents having a strong path behind you through the battles of life. With the right people behind you, you can get through anything. You guys see the link for Wolves of War? Make sure you guys click on the link. Shop, great apparels, t-shirts, sweatsuits, whatever you want, they have. Once again, Wolves of War. Make sure you guys go shop. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Highly Opinionated. As you can see, we have a special guest. Second time back. The best guy I know when it comes to breaking down a golf tournament, my guy, the correspondent. Welcome back to the show, Keith. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How you guys feel? Doing good?
Doing awesome, man.
There we go.
So let's get right into it, man. Like we got the Masters coming up. The biggest golf tournament known all around the world. Every year we hear a tradition like no other. Right there in Augusta. Yeah. My guy Scotty Scheffler is an overwhelming favorite right now, plus 550. Do you see Scotty Scheffler running away with this tournament, or is there a surprise player in this Masters that no one's really is talking about or seeing coming that could potentially overtake Scotty Scheffler and take home the Masters and shock everyone?
Yeah, so I mean, there's an underlying detail with Scotty. I don't know if you guys are aware, but he just his second child, Remy, his son was born last week. So I think there's some things that might take his mind off of golf just maybe enough. I mean, when you're showing up the Masters as good as Scotty is, I mean, he's the clear number one in the world. And JG, you're right. He's a pretty big favorite when you're talking about 60 grown men participating in something, and someone expects, you're that far, gone as perceived as the favorite. So So yeah, I think Scotty will be in the mix. I don't know if he'll win this one, to be honest. So he's still the favorite. I know that. I respect that. He's earned number one in the world. He hasn't been in great form, especially the last, he didn't play last week because of the birth of his child. He's been having some trouble hitting his driver straight enough to be real competitive. Because that's where, Scotty hits his tee-ball in the fairway. With his irons, guys, he just doesn't miss. He gets the ball close to the hole. He gets the ball on the right side of the hole, which is important, which you're going to see this week as you guys watch the coverage. You want uphill putts. If you're putting downhill, it's slippery. You might see guys putt the ball in the water this week, literally from on the green in the water. It's gonna happen. So, and not to get too far ahead, I think the weather is going to play a part in this. We're not going to have a bunch of wind or a day of rain. Really, it's going to be clear. And this course is going to get a little fiery. When I say fiery, I mean firmer as we go, because when there's no rain like this, Augusta can either put water, they can take water away, they can try to confuse these golfers by doing different things. They have more options at their disposal than just being wet and rainy, and then those guys start playing dart golf, because Augusta National doesn't really have a lot of high rough. It doesn't. When you hit the ball in the rough, it's not a huge penalty like it is in other major championships. So, yeah.
Describe Augusta National golf course to the audience. Describe
Augusta National Golf Course is the most picturesque, aesthetically pleasing to the eye golf course in the world. Okay. It's known, the azaleas, the foliage surrounding the golf course are absolutely phenomenal. One thing people don't understand about Augusta National, it kind of looks flat on TV. It's not. It's a hard walk to walk 18 holes, actually. There's a lot of undulation and a lot of hills, which puts a premium on being able to control your distance. So you have to, when you're hitting an uphill shot, you need to take in consideration that ball's not going to go quite as far. So there's extra details to take shape. But guys, this is one of the lush. There's not a hair out of place on this golf course. It's perfect, and you're going to see it in its meant to be form. This is the 90th Masters. This is it's because of the weather. It's just going to have every detail. They're going to roll out the red carpet. You're going to see the white bunkers. The bunkers are just so pure snow white with the rhododendrons and the azaleas behind them. It's just a beautiful, beautiful scene for golf. And guys, what makes this tournament so special for me? It's been 8 months since the last major. The next major after this is only a month away. So the buildup, right, is a lot more. The anticipation, and the players feel that. So you're going to see a lot. I think caddies are going to be, people just think caddies are out there carrying the bag. That's bullshit. Caddies make a difference. They instill confidence in the player. They make recommendations that the player, if he's not fully committed, he's probably not going to hit a good shot. If he really feels confident and trusts his caddy a lot, he probably will hit a good shot, or his likelihood for him to do so will be more likely. So yeah, this is one of the biggest spectacles in sports. I'll be honest with you. There's no second way about it.
Absolutely.
Last
year we had Roy McIlroy. He won his first Masters in the playoff against Justin Rose.
Yep.
So Keith, the $1 million question. We need $1 million answer, brother. Who wins the 2026 Masters?
I'm going to go a touch down the world rankings a little bit. I'm going to give you an answer and then a little bundle behind that, I think, and then a long shot. I like Tommy Fleetwood this week.
Okay.
The Englishman. He's in great form. He's got a great attitude. He's been around this golf course. He hasn't won it yet. He's due, in my opinion. I think he'll play well. He's in the kind of form I would expect. And then to compound on that just a touch, I think the three dudes from England, including Fleetwood and two others, Justin Rose, who lost in a playoff to Rory last year, if you guys remember, will be in the mix. Another guy by the name of Matt Fitzpatrick. All these three, ironically, I just feel good about all three. They just happen to be from from England. So two longer shots I like that I'm going to be playing these guys. I'll sprinkle something on them to win, but definitely top 10 finishes is Patrick Reed. He's an ex-champion. From there, he's one of the guys that defected to the Live Golf Tour. He's worked his way back. He's going to be back on the PGA Tour starting this August. He's kind of paid the penalty and paid the fines in order to get back. He wants to be back playing with the best golfers in the world, so he's going to be doing that. He's been playing. He played great in Saudi Arabia and some of the other world events. I like his odds because he knows the golf course. And then there's a guy by the name of Jacob Bridgman. He went to the University of Georgia. I know he's stuck on Augusta, as sort of as hard as to play that course. I know he's stuck on that course a few times. He won earlier in the PGA Tour season out in California. So keep an eye out for Jacob Bridgman. He's 92-1 to win. Patrick Reed's 44-1. So I'm going to have a little something on them to win and a little sprinkle on there for a top 10 finish for both of those gentlemen. How about that?
JG, who do you think is going to win the 2026 Masters?
Pardon me for being not the huge golf expert that I am, but I am going to go. I am going to go with the favorite here. I am going to go with Scottie Scheffler here. I just don't see a scenario where this guy, again, world's number one. Normally, when I know Rory McIlroy had a great playoff last year, we watched that unfold. It was awesome for Rory McIlroy, first of all, to get that, because we know the story of how he came up short in so many different tournaments like the Masters. Looking for that first signature major. Remind me a lot of Lionel Messi. Like, Messi didn't really have that one big major. Everyone was talking like he'll never be the greatest soccer player of all time because he can't close the deal like Ronaldo did all those years back. But I think Scottie Scheffler's dominance continues. I don't see anybody really overtaking him, so I'm going to go with Scottie.
Scottie Scheffler.
Can't go wrong there. I mean, it's a great pick. It's an obvious pick. Yeah.
Okay, so for me, I'm not going to say it's an outside of the swing pick, because the guy finished second last year. He's finished second multiple times at the Masters, and I know that if you look at his Masters, he'll have a good Masters and a bad Masters. I'm going with Justin Rose. I mean, bro, how many times can you finish in second place? I mean, it's right there. In that playoff he had last year against Rory McIlroy, he lost by one stroke.
Yeah.
So I just think Justin Rose, the golf course, because I feel like this: if you're good enough to finish in second, you damn sure can be good enough to finish in first. You might need to make a tweak here and a tweak there, and you can move from the 2 line to the 1 line. I know it's not college basketball, but you feel me? A good winner gets you from a 2 line to the 1 line. So, by the way, I guess the NCAA tournament did it right. UConn was a 2 seed for a reason. I guess I got that wrong. But anyway, I digress. I think Justin Rose. I think it's his time. I like Justin Rose to win the 2026 Masters.
I love the pick. He's a great dude. He's won a major championship before. This is his 21st Masters for Justin Rose. So he's been around,
long overdue
before. Yeah, in Augusta, they keep, because the players keep hitting it further and further and further, and the technology and the drive, the clubs and the ball is good. They're running out of real estate at Augusta National. They keep making the course longer and longer, right? But a guy like Justin Rose at his age still bombs it with some of the big boys. I mean, he gets it out there far enough to where he's got a reasonable shot into these greens, and he's not hitting longer clubs. Obviously, the longer the club, the harder it is to hit it really close to the hole. So, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2026 Masters start Thursday. Coverage begins Thursday on ESPN. Friday's coverage will be on ESPN. Saturday and Sunday's coverage will conclude on CBS.
Yeah.
The correspondent
for me.
Go ahead.
Hey, if I could, I just want to say thanks you guys for thanks for having me. As you know, I've kind of been on this trip to not be an ambassador for golf, but just I haven't done a good job of that in my career up to this point, just trying to broadcast and get the word out. Golf's a game for everybody, at any age. And if someone's better than you, there's a handicap structure that can narrow that gap, and you can still go out and have a great time, maybe a few adult beverages. So I just want to thank you guys for allowing me the platform to come on, talk golf a little bit. It's a passion of mine, as you can hopefully that shines through. And thanks again for having me, boys. Appreciate it.
Keith, my guy, the correspondent, brother, you are the best. I told you, our golf expert. A friend of mine calls you the golf gambler. You called yourself the golf bookie. So, or was around golf bookies when you were younger. So,
Yeah, hustlers. Yeah,
golf hustlers. I'm sorry. So, the privilege is all ours. We greatly appreciate it. Again, Masters coverage again Thursday through Saturday, Thursday and Friday on ESPN, Saturday and Sunday on CBS. Ladies and gentlemen, want to thank the correspondent for coming on the show. Keith, we can't wait to have you back on the show, brother.
thanks, fellas. Have a good day.
Appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break. You're watching Highly Opinionated. We will be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode of Highly Opinionated is brought to you by Edibly Airy. Enjoy the heightened experience of THC edibles in a whole new way. At Edibly Airy, our freeze-dry edibles available in 100 milligram, 200 milligram, 300 milligram, 400 milligram will give you the buzz you crave with a flavor you won't forget. Available in 3 different flavors: watermelon sunset, tropical fruit, and berry. To place orders, please visit the website at ediblyairy.com. While you're there at ediblyairy.com, use a promotion code. You guys see the promotion code on the screen. $ Highly Airy, $. Again, $ Highly Airy, $ for 20% off your first purchase. Follow us on IG at Edibly Airy for new product releases and monthly hookups. Must be 21 and over to purchase. Edibly Airy, the best freeze-dry edibles out. Go shop. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Highly Opinionated. JG, time to go over some NFL news. Let's start off with the Jacksonville Jaguars and defensive end Trayvon Walker and Jacksonville Jaguars have agreed on a 4-year, $110 million contract extension. Your thoughts? Jacksonville surprisingly won the AFC South last year. Your thoughts on this deal with Jacksonville and Trayvon Walker? Can Jacksonville take the next step?
Yeah, good move for Jacksonville. Trayvon Walker, as we know, was the former #1 overall pick for the Jaguars back then. He's done his job. Jacksonville's defense has been underrated over the past few years, in my opinion. A lot of it has to do with Trayvon Walker and also on the other side, Josh Hines-Allen. Those guys have been 2 of the better pass rushers. Very underrated because you don't see a lot of Jacksonville on national TV games. You don't pay as much attention because they've kind of been up and down and inconsistent. I attribute a lot of that to their offense, but you can dissect them the ways you will. But good signing. Trayvon Walker definitely deserves his money. I'm glad he got it. As far as your question about Jacksonville taking the next step, they can. I believe they have the capability of doing that. I believe in Liam Cohen as a coach. I think he's a very good coach that Jacksonville picked up. So I believe in that guy for sure. Trevor Lawrence had a pretty good year this year. I mean, famously, I've been the one that has been a little too hard on Trevor Lawrence. Calling him overrated and stuff like that, saying that, he's the highest paid quarterback in the league for no reason. I've religiously, been, at least on my show, I've been, attacked for that. So I'm going to give Trevor Lawrence some grace there. He had a pretty good season this year. Didn't have the greatest ending to the playoff game against Buffalo, but I think Jacksonville has the capability and will have the pieces to continue to take the next step. What does that look like? Is that winning the AFC South? Is that winning a playoff game? What does taking the next step look like for Jacksonville? In my opinion, from where they are right now, let's start winning the playoff game. Maybe get to the divisional round. We'll see what happens there.
So I'll answer the question about Jacksonville taking a step. The problem, I want to say they can't. The thing about the AFC South is it's so wacky. For example, the Titans were in 4 games last year. I think they'll be much improved. Do I think they'll go from 4 games to winning 13? Probably not. But that division is Willy wonky. It's wacky. It could be you could be in last place. You could go from last to first. You can go from first to last. So, let's see how the draft plays out. Let's see how the rest of free agency plays out. Let's see how training camp plays out. All that stuff plays into a factor. But I know this because Liam Cohen was in Tampa Bay. I love Liam Cohen. I think Liam Cohen can be a quarterback's best friend. We saw Trevor Lawrence, I think, arguably have his best season in NFL with Liam Cohen as the head coach / offensive coordinator. So that I do like that for Jacksonville. Now, as far as Trayvon Walker, I'm going to mention 5 names. I want you to tell me if you think this player is better than Trayvon Walker. Aiden Hutchinson. Who would you rather have, Aiden Hutchinson or Trayvon Walker?
Hutch.
Sauce Gardner or Trayvon Walker?
Trayvon Walker.
Okay. Jordan Davis or Trayvon Walker?
I think Jordan Davis.
Okay. Kyle Hamilton or Trayvon Walker?
Hamilton for sure.
Trent McDuffie or Trayvon Walker?
McDuffie.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I just gave you 5 players that all got drafted behind Trayvon Walker. The man just said he'll take 4 of the 5. Listen,
Oof.
I am all for people getting their money. I am all for people getting fame. I am all for people doing what they had to do. Just like you just heard me give research, I'm all for people maximizing their true abilities. But if someone is better than you, then that should be acknowledged. Trayvon Walker was the number 1 pick in the 2022 draft. Aiden Hutchinson was the number 2 pick. Derek Stingley Jr. was the number 3 pick. I didn't even mention him. Sauce Gardner was the number 4 pick. I'm doing all defense. Kayvon Thibodeau was the number 5 pick. Jordan Davis was the number 13 pick. Kyle Hamilton was the number 14 pick. Trent McDuffie was the number 21 pick. Quay Walker was the number 22 pick. Khalil Elam, number 23. Jermaine Johnson, Jermaine Johnson, the second, number 26. Devin Lloyd, number 27. Devontae Wyatt, 28. Dax Hill, 31. I'm sorry, George Kalafis, 30. Dax Hill, 31. Lewis Seen, 32. Majority of them players, Trayvon Walker hasn't produced or lived up to the hype of what he was supposed to be. Trayvon Walker's played in the NFL 4 seasons. He had 3.5 sacks his first season, 10 sacks his second season, 10.5 sacks his third season. He had 3.5 sacks this past season. So for you to be the number 1 pick, you have to live up to the number 1 pick. I don't think he's lived up to the number 1 pick. So, I mean, damn if you do, damn if you don't. He's a good player. He just hasn't lived up to the number 1 pick. If he got picked later on in the first round, probably wouldn't be as bad. But he got picked over some heavy hitters, as I said. So I like it for Jacksonville. I'm not in love with it. I would have loved it if they would have drafted the right player. The person who Jacksonville should have drafted number 1 was Aiden Hutchinson. You just saw that in college.
That's fair to say, man. And then Aiden Hutchinson, with the Michigan, had a really good season, final season. He's changed the course of like the Detroit Lions on the defensive side of the ball by himself, in my opinion. But I think with Walker, it's like, again, the numbers don't, jump out at you. Jacksonville's defense as a whole doesn't have that signature closer, in my opinion, but they're a really good unit. Like that's why I say underrated. Like they have been. When you think we look at the numbers as far as teams, I think Jacksonville's defense is one of those defenses that now had the offense been better, they could have produced more, because it doesn't really matter how good your defense is. If you're on the field too long, you're not going to be a good defense no matter who you are. But I think that Jacksonville as a unit, they're a good collective unit. There's no but you're right about one thing. Aiden Hutchinson is a closer. Trent McDuffie is a closer. Derek Stingley Jr. closer. I can't say that Trayvon Walker is definitely a closer, although he's been a really good pass rusher. And in the NFL, pass rushers honestly at times come into premium when you're talking about production. So him with Josh Hines Allen, as I said before, I just think that like Jacksonville, it's funny. Like I'm taking your words now. Like just looking at the division, it's just very like out of whack. You're not really sure who you're going to lean on in that division. I mean, you got the Colts, you got the Titans, you got the Texans. There's question marks everywhere on every single team in that division, including Jacksonville. So I hear what you're saying about as far as production, number 1 pick. Maybe he's not quite been like the superstar as you would think, but he hasn't been a bad player. He hasn't been a bust.
No, yeah, he hasn't been bad.
I'll be more not happy about this move if Trayvon Walker's been a bust. I can't say he's been that.
Yeah, no, he hasn't been a bust. But again, to me, you pick number 1, you got to stand out and be number 1. He hasn't been that up to this point. That's my only point. And again, you giving a guy $110 million.
I got you.
I'm gonna need something. I'm gonna need you to be something. You feel me? I don't give a damn if you open the store, you work mid shift or you close it. You gonna do something. Like you doing something. So yeah, you got to do something for me, player. So no, So I think Trayvon Walker can do that. But again, the division Willy wonky, and we will see how the AFC South is won as the NFL season gets here fast. As the NFL draft is fastly approaching. JG, our next NFL topic. Stephon Gilmore is hanging it up. 5-time Pro Bowl cornerback Stephon Gilmore is retiring from the NFL. Your thoughts on that?
I was a little surprised, but then when I look at like the past 2 seasons, and him not getting picked up, which I found it weird. It's just like was it really that much of a drop off for Gilmore? since the last time we saw him. I believe it was the Minnesota Vikings was the last team that we saw him on. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
But great corner for a handful of years. He had a great run where he was definitely at least top 3 in the league as far as corners. Again, I was a little surprised at him retiring, but can't say he hasn't had a great career. I still think Stephon Gilmore can help a team. If I'm being totally honest here, I don't think he should retire personally. I'm never going to tell an athlete what to do, obviously, but in my personal opinion, just from what I've seen, I don't think it was time for him to retire. I think he can still really help a team. And I guess, you can't rule it out. Guys are coming back from retirement all the time. So hopefully, I think a team will come back. Maybe if they have some injuries, they can reach out and see if he wants to still play. Because I fully believe that he can still help a team for sure.
You remember last year during the show when you came on football times when you filled in for Tim. I kept saying, I'm like, bro, why is Stephon Gilmore not signed? Why is he not playing? I never understood that. I thought he could have helped the Rams, even at his older age. I still thought still felt like he could have helped the Rams last season. Stephon Gilmore, hell of a player, Super Bowl 53 champion. He was a 2019 Defensive Player of the Year. That is hard to do at the cornerback position. He led the NFL and co-led the NFL in interceptions in 2019, as I mentioned earlier, 5-time Pro Bowl selection, and he was a 2-time All-Pro. So he had a hell of a career. Got drafted by Buffalo. When he first got drafted, I was critical of him. I didn't think he was worth the squeeze. But then when you started, remember at that point, Buffalo wasn't what Buffalo is now. They weren't winning as they are now, or having success, having success as they're having success now. So so I thought he struggled in Buffalo, but he went to the Patriots, and that was when I really got to keep my eye on him because I was a Tom Brady fan watching him play. He definitely was a good corner. He definitely at a certain point in time he was a top 3. I could make a case he was a top 2 corner in the league at certain points in time throughout his career. So hell of a career. As you said, I still feel like he can help a team now, help a team out. But again, retirement when you retire, you've been thinking about it. So if you've been thinking about it, it basically tells you that you're basically halfway out the door. So hell of a career, heck of a player, privilege and honor to watch him play. Looking forward to see what he does next.
Yeah, me as well. Like I said, great career for Stephon Gilmore, but hopefully it's not the last time we see him.
Yeah, hopefully it's not. I think he has charisma to be on TV. He could definitely find a way to be on TV. We'll touch this at a later point in time, but there's Mike Tomlin's getting into TV, and
good.
When you get into TV, you like it. I'll just say this, and I'll leave it at this. Bill Cowher got into TV. He never left it.
Never came back.
So, JG, our last NFL topic. The Baltimore Ravens and the Dallas Cowboys are expected to play each other week 3 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. I'll start us off. NFL, as we know for many, many years, NFL is about money, about building the brand up, building the shield up. So the NFL could play a game on the moon. They would play a game on the moon. So not surprised by this. And anytime you send the Cowboys out, you're sending the biggest brand in the NFL, or arguably in sports out. So you're going to have a fan base with that. And the Ravens have a fan base, but more so Lamar Jackson has a fan base. You can love him, you can hate him, either or. So I think that'll be a highly rated game. I would not be surprised if that game is not a 4:25 game or a night game, whether it's a Thursday night game. Probably not Thursday night, so probably a 4:25 game on Fox or a Sunday night game on ESPN. So
honestly, Jay, this could be a Friday night game. If you remember last year, they had a couple games in Brazil, and it was a Friday game. So it's possible it could be on that one too.
Could be a Friday game. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to it. The Ravens and the Cowboys, both teams got high expectations going into the season, so should be a great game. We know the fans are going to watch. We know that for sure.
Yeah, Ravens in Brazil. It's nice that you don't see the Ravens overseas too often. I think the last time we saw the Ravens overseas was a game. I think they were in London. I can't remember correctly. Yeah, I think it was London. They played against the Jacksonville Jaguars and got absolutely
got smacked.
I remember. Yeah, Blake Bortles, Leonard Fournette. Jalen Ramsey and the crew like actually put a hurting on Joe Flacco and the Ravens, where to the point where John Harbaugh came out publicly and said, like, if we can help it, we're never coming back here to play football. So I remember that vividly. That was hilarious. But I remember that beat down for sure. And I'm sorry, Ravens have played overseas. Like they played in Germany, recently with Lamar Jackson. They had a pretty good game there. But it's good that the NFL is moving everywhere. I mean, we got a game in Australia coming up for crying out loud. So that's going to be interesting right there. And I think it's only a matter of time when we start having football games in Tokyo, anywhere. So like you said, it's about building a brand. It's about putting money in your pocket. Any opportunity you have, they're going to do it. So it's a nice change up. The Cowboys are going to show out because that's what the Cowboy fans are. They walk around with their chest poked out saying, yeah, we win the Super Bowl next year. That going to be all right. We're going to have Pickens back. We're going to be good. I'm like, all right, man, look, another year, Cowboys fans, get your hopes up. Get yourself hyped. Because by the end of the season, it's the same, it seems to be the same. And who knows, man? Maybe it could change. Dak could probably have another EP caliber season. And you know what? I'm going to do something a little different here. The Cowboys actually, if they have a chance to have a good enough offseason to be real contenders. I think that if you're Jerry Jones, first of all, you got to get George Pickens re-signed. Let's make that priority number one. It's not going to happen until the last minute because this is Jerry Jones. He wants the drama. He wants the circus. So he's going to let this fester, continue to say the comments that he's made, in recent days about, the whole George Pickens situation and all that. So we'll make a fuss out of it. But eventually, I think he will get re-signed. I think the defense coming back with Quentin Williams will be a much more improved from last season. And the Cowboys do hit on the draft picks. They have done really well on the drafting over the years. It doesn't get talked about a lot, but they do pretty well when they draft. So I think the Cowboys actually will be a much improved football team. So this will be good TV. You got Lamar Jackson versus Dak Prescott, and two pretty good teams that should, have high expectations, like you said. And it's the NFL just continuing to branch out and globalize the brand like the NBA.
Yeah, both teams definitely should be in contention to win their division. I mean, the Ravens were in it last year, and the Cowboys, they defense. Dak had moments too where he didn't play well. I'm not gonna blame it all on the defense, but the defense for the most part let them down in games. If they could have won, they could have maybe won the NFC East when Philly was, trying to find their way or find their path last season. So for me, I definitely think it should be a good game. I know every network, whether it's CBS, Fox, NBC, Netflix, whatever, I'm sure they all, or Amazon Prime, I'm sure they all will try to get that Ravens Cowboys game. Like I said, you ever get the Cowboys, it's going to do numbers. And as I've gotten older, like I understand, even though I'm not a fan of it, like I understand why certain shows, they're going to talk about in basketball, they're going to talk about the Celtics, they're going to talk about the Lakers, they're going to talk about in football, they're going to talk about the Cowboys because it's going to give you numbers. So I get it, totally understand. Not my lane, but I get it. And when it's time to talk about those teams, then it's time to talk about it. I just don't want to talk about them just to talk about them. You feel me? That's kind of get played out. So
I don't want to talk about the Cowboys like a lot in April. I know we're talking about it right now, obviously in April, but I don't want to hear a lot about the Cowboys until we actually get the football season.
Exactly.
But
or I would say to the draft. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
at least to the draft. Yeah, at least to the
draft. Yeah, no, I got you. I agree with that. So, JG, can't wait for that game. We're going to Brazil on your dime. We'll talk about that when we take this commercial break, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, on his dime. We're going to Brazil on his dime. We're going to cover the game. We're going to cover the game on this guy's dime.
I'm not sure who the hell you think I am, but okay.
JG, the man, the myth, the legend.
You're the man,
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break. You're watching Highly Opinionated. We'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, this episode of Highly Opinionated is sponsored by Wolves of War. In some of the episodes, you can see my co-host and Ross wearing a brand called Wolves of War. Wolves of War is our first sponsor, ladies and gentlemen, and we are so thankful to have those guys sponsoring Highly Opinionated. Thank you very much. The actual meaning of Wolves of War is that it represents having a strong path behind you through the battles of life. With the right people behind you, you can get through anything. You guys see the link for Wolves of War? Make sure you guys click on the link, shop, great apparels, t-shirts, sweatsuits, whatever you want, they have. Once again, Wolves of War. Make sure you guys go shop.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Highly Opinionated. As you can see, we have a second special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, this man is the host of Nothing But Net. You can catch that show on the Sideline Junkies Podcast Network every Wednesday night at 7:30. Ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorite uncles, the great,
C. Perry II. Welcome to Highly Opinionated, C. Perry.
What's good, nephew?
Always a pleasure to be in your presence, sir. Hope all is well with you.
Doing good, bro. Doing good. You know, it's a Tuesday. It's the last regular week of the regular season in the NBA, and I'm just here and happy to have this opportunity to join you, my man.
I appreciate you for coming on the show, brother. We will definitely get to the NBA in a second. We all have thoughts on the last week of the NBA season. A lot to be decided. Seeds, NBA awards. Guys going to play 65 games, so we will definitely get into that momentarily. But the floor is yours, sir. I want to give you the chance to talk about Nothing But Net, your show that you do along with Midnight Rider every Wednesday at 7:30. Tell us about the origins of Nothing But Net. How did it get started? Just tell us, the floor is yours about Nothing But Net.
Okay. Well, I officially joined the Sideline Junkies podcast network back in September. I've been an affiliate of Sideline Junkies for about 2 to 3 years. I would always come on to do the NBA season preview. So got up with the network, to work on some new content and some sports centric content. I mean, I've been in the podcasting game since 2017, 2018. Had a award nominated show called Straight to Tape, and we were, which was a culture. It was a culture and politics show, which we ran for about 5 years. Took a break after the 2024 election. Just be honest, we just burnt out. Then was preparing myself to start doing new content with me once again being front and center, because I also do a good amount of production work behind the scenes. And Midnight Rider and I have always talked about doing a show together. So it was always something about our chemistry that was just completely natural, especially when it came to the NBA. I'm a sports fan, but I'm an NBA fan first and foremost. I mean, I used to always have this joke, right? And my joke was whenever the NFL season started, that first week of September.
Yeah.
To me, I always looked at that as, okay, that means it's about 28 to 30 days before NBA Media Day. That's the way I always looked at it. Because like I said, I'm NBA first. Once the NBA season starts, I kind of, when it comes in NFL, if it's outside of storylines, I tune out. My focus is on the NBA, even more than college basketball. To me, college basketball has become, I'm looking at who's going to be in the league. That's the reason why I watch college basketball. So Midnight Rider one night just was like, hey, you want to come on, let's do like 30 minutes, just talk about the NBA real quick. I was like, yeah, sure. And that one episode turned into what you see as Nothing But Net.
Wow.
It was just an organic conversation about what was going on in the NBA at that time. And we enjoy it. We truly enjoy it, because I mean, as we always state, it's the view of today's NBA through the eyes of two old heads, because we have that knowledge and that understanding and that love for the game going back to when we were young heads. And we take that knowledge and that history, and and we look at it as the NBA has grown through the different eras that we've been exposed to.
Yeah, see, Perry, appreciate the origin story. I always love to hear about how like guys get into this game, because I've been in the podcast game, I think, a little over 3 years now. So I've always been interested in knowing how people, start off with their own. You said something interesting. You said how college basketball for you, has turned into like, who's on their way to the league, who are the lottery picks. Do you has the parity, in your opinion, increased? We just got finished with the NCAA tournament. Do you feel like the parity is, the same? Has it increased, or do you think it's decreased a little bit since NIL pay for play has taken over college sports?
To be honest, yes and no. Okay. NIL gives the non-blue bloods the opportunity to compete with the blue bloods. However, once you get into the tournament and once you get to the end, if you've noticed, it's still in the end about the blue bloods. I mean, think about it. Look at this last tournament that we just had. Okay. I mean, the one that just ended yesterday. All right. Got to the Final Four outside of the two freshmen from Arizona. Where were the lottery picks in this Final Four?
I think Yaxel Lindenberg. I think he got a chance to be a lottery.
He might have
a late lottery.
He might have played himself into the lottery, but I still see him as a late first round pick. He's not going. Yeah, like I said, he might have played himself into the top 14, into that lottery space, but he's a late first rounder, if that. Okay, and that's still where I see him falling.
Lindenborg's too old. I'll be honest. Like, it's funny to say that. Once you get past being a freshman,
No, it's not. The lottery is about youth potential and upside. It's been about youth potential and upside for this past generation.
Sure.
And that's what it's about. That's what it will always be about. Okay. Your older guys are who you build your bench off of. It's who you build starter number 4 and 5 off of. Okay.
Yeah, Sorry, I just don't see that for Lindenberg. Like I said, like when you're a senior, it seems like in the trend. I watch the mock draft like every year. It always seems like the seniors, no matter how good of a year you have, you still fall to like that late first round, early second round pick. Because again, you talk about upside potential and all that. That's basically what the lottery pick has been for me. So, and like as a guy that played college basketball, I get some guys that won Big Ten Player of the Year, ACC Player of the Year. When they're juniors and seniors, their value already seems to decrease when it gets to those years. So if you're not peaking already by freshman, sophomore year, you're probably not going to be a lottery pick. We don't see that very often unless you're a European player who's like 22, 23, whatever, and is finally coming to the NBA. We're not going to see that in college basketball when it comes to juniors and seniors.
And even with the European players, you're seeing the younger European players, the 18, the 19, and the 20-year-olds being in that lottery space. Okay. Yep. And it's been that way since 2001. If you really go back and look at the draft from 2000 to 2001 and up.
Darko
okay.
Milicic.
Yeah.
You got
please.
Carmelo Anthony for potential. I still don't understand that.
Okay. You see, you mentioned one of my favorite debates. Okay. And I always say, all right, Darko went higher than he was supposed to, but Melo went exactly where he was supposed to. There was no reason for that Detroit Pistons team to draft Carmelo Anthony. They had Tayshaun Prince. They were a team that was already loaded at that position, and they were building via position and not via superstar potential, and it worked for them.
No, it worked. It's hard for me to say that Detroit shouldn't have drafted Melo, only because I've seen teams draft players in other positions, or I've seen teams sign players that are very similar. For example, LeBron James is a greater player than Dwayne Wade. Their game styles are similar. They have similarities to their game. They're attacking, they're slashing, they're trying to get to the basket. Back in your, I'm gonna go old school. I'm gonna go old school on your OG. You got Ralph Sampson. You got Ralph Sampson and Hakeem Olajuwon were drafted together. So you now obviously Houston didn't see
year apart. Yeah,
I mean they're not drafted together, but drafted a year apart to play together. I meant to say to play together. My point is that you can make it work. So for me, and I felt like Melo, I get what you're saying. You are right. Melo went to the best spot for him, Denver. But if you think about that Detroit situation, they ain't have no Detroit after they went to them 5, 6, 7 straight Eastern Conference Finals before LeBron had his run in the East. They fell off. They were a middle of the road, like 7, 8 seed, and then they took a nosedive. They're just starting to come up. I just want to say this: imagine if they would have drafted Carmelo. You could have handed them keys from Chauncey Billups, Richard Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince, Ben Wallace, and Rasheed Wallace to Carmelo, and you would have had some free agents and been like, "Yeah, I know it's cold in Michigan, but guess what? It's cold in Minnesota. People go to Minnesota. It's cold in time out. Hey, JG, what LeBron in Cleveland? Didn't Dwayne Wade go play in Cleveland? Didn't Derrick Rose go play in Cleveland? Oh yeah, John, is it nice in Cleveland?
Look, yo, I get that. However, when you're building a championship, you're not building who's going to get the keys next. You're building the championship. No, they don't think about it. Yeah, this team already had the pieces. Okay, I mean, shoot. Remember, they traded Jerry Stackhouse to get Rip Hamilton.
Yeah, they did.
All right, because he was a better fit. All right, so I never look at that part when it comes to Melo. And and even to take it a little bit further back, you always hear the complaint from the 84 draft that why did Portland draft
Sam
Bowie at number 2 and not draft Michael Jordan at number 3? Okay, which is a great look, which I'm telling you, it's a great hot take. Okay, and can get you, about 45 minutes of content. The year before, the Chicago Bulls drafted Enos Watley with the 13th pick. Next was the Portland Trailblazers. Who did the Portland Trailblazers pick at 14? Clyde Drexler. So when you run it back the following year, why would? I mean, I know hindsight is 2020, all right? But in that moment, why would the Portland Trailblazers draft Michael Jordan? They needed a big man. And they thought Sam Bowie would have been that big man.
No, I get you on that. I get you. I mean, in certain situations, I get it. But I'm saying, as far as Detroit, and I'm not saying Detroit should have thought about Melo as the savior, the baton carrier of the franchise. I'm not saying they should draft him just strictly for that. But you can see late 90s, early 2000s basketball. You still had Tim Duncan, you still had Shaq, you had Garnett. Garnett was more of an inside-outside type player. Shaq, Duncan were more inside out. They were more inside than outside players. But in my opinion, you could start to see in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was going to a wing game. Let's talk about Let's talk about the best players during that time. Michael Jordan was a wing. Kobe Bryant, I know I'm obviously going to put Tim Duncan in there, but Tim, to exclude him out. He was a wing. Okay. The best player in the 2003 draft class that Carmelo won was LeBron. He's a wing. Dwayne Wade is a wing. So I get your point. You definitely right on. The thing about it is they were going to take two players at the same position anyway. Darko Milicic played power forward and center. That's Rasheed Wallace and Ben Wallace's position. If they took Carmelo, they was going to play Tayshaun position. So either way, they was going to take two guys at the same position.
Now remember, they did not have Rasheed Wallace at the time. They got Rasheed Wallace during the trade deadline.
During that trade deadline.
However, there is a better argument that Detroit should have drafted Chris Bosh.
I never even think of that. That's not a bad.
No one ever thinks of that as a take when it comes to the argument of that draft and who Detroit should have picked. Now, if they would have picked Chris Bosh, would they have gone after Rasheed Wallace?
There would have been no need.
Yeah, but no, they would have went after a guard or a wing. My bad, Jay. Go ahead.
I've never, honestly, that's great. That's a great take by you. I never thought about Chris Bosh to Detroit and what that could have been. That's a really good take because Chris Bosh was at that time, I think, a transcendent big man playing the forward of what he can do with the ball, his ability to shoot the basketball from mid range and from three. So that would have evolved the Pistons as well. But I will say this though, Carmelo Anthony would have been the best player on that team had the Detroit Pistons drafted him.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question about that.
There's nobody. That great Detroit Pistons team with Chauncey Billups, Tayshaun Prince, Rip Hamilton, and Ben Wallace. Carmelo Anthony is going to be the best player on that team, and they win more than one championship. So I understand position and all that. I understand like what they needed versus what they had. But I'm telling you, I think Detroit would have won. They would have dismantled the Lakers like they did, but they would have came back and probably won maybe one more. I think that team these two championships.
They would have beat the Spurs the following year, 2005. They lost.
Absolutely.
Okay, they wouldn't have beaten the Spurs. They would have beaten Dallas. They would have beaten that Mavericks team in 06. Okay. Yeah, they would have beaten that Mavericks team in 06. They weren't beating that Spurs team. No. Okay. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. With one of the most disrespected dynasties in the history of the NBA is that San Antonio Spurs team. That pop run is so disrespected, and that pop run went on. I mean, think about it. That pop run went on from 99 to 14 to 13.
Because casual basketball fans didn't enjoy how the Spurs played basketball. There was nothing that popped. It was like, oh my God, he got dunked on, or all this, flashy, the sexiness of basketball. Like, he got dunked on. Like, he got these guys played good basketball. They ran sets.
They played actual basketball.
They played actual basketball, and the casual fan was bored out of their minds watching it. And that's why we call them casual fans, because that's real basketball. That's what you should be teaching kids as to how to play the game as a team. It's not dribble 20 times and try to shake your man and then try to shoot a three in his face. That's not good basketball. No, Spurs play real basketball. So that's why everyone didn't enjoy it.
It's like one of my favorite personal quotes that I've been saying for years is, if you want to look at great fundamental professional basketball, you need to be watching the WNBA, period.
No, I was one of those kids that watched the WNBA growing up because I was not the guy that's like super athletic and dunking on people. I wanted to learn from the fundamentals, and women's basketball is heavily reliant on fundamentals and skill because they do. Let's just be honest, they do not have the athleticism that that men's basketball has. It is what it is, but they hone in on their skills and they are technicians with what they do. Everything is so detailed. With everything that they do, it is something that every young player should learn from. Tim Duncan back in the day, and then also women's basketball.
Yo, can I ask you guys a question just to flip things just a little bit?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
What were y'all thoughts on yesterday's news of the trade that sent Angel Reese from the Chicago Sky to the Atlanta Dream?
You want me to go first? Go ahead, bro.
For me, like, I saw it coming. I was not totally surprised. Now, two first round picks, I was a little bit surprised, but at the same time, maybe not. Angel Reese is and look, everyone who's watching this who isn't really watching the WNBA are probably going to come to me talking about how Angel Reese sucks. She can't play basketball. She shouldn't be out there. You're not watching the game. You don't break the records that Angel Reese has broken by accident. You don't get games of 20 rebounds and again, the stupid casual fan like, oh, she's just throwing it up off the backboard and getting her own rebound over and over again. It's like, no, jackass. Like, she's playing hard. Like, she's going after the basketball. You don't get 20 rebound games by accident. If you suck, you cannot do that. Like, I don't know what people are watching or what they're thinking, but you can't do the things that Angel Reese is doing if you suck at basketball. Is she a little unorthodox? Yes. Can she get better with her control? Yes, absolutely. So can a lot of players in the NBA. There's a lot of guys in the NBA that can't freaking shoot a 15-footer or have any kind of skill or any kind of touch close to what Angel Reese is doing. They ain't doing it. So that's my rant for, like, the casual basketball fan that always gets on me whenever I talk about Angel Reese. Y'all can go screw off. But as far as this trade, I saw this coming because I remember on Club JG, I want to say about almost a year ago, Angel Reese had publicly called out the Chicago Sky, called out the entire team, quite frankly, and the coaching staff, saying that basically this ain't good enough. I'm not used to losing. Like, we got to get better players and all that. Obviously, that ended up not sitting well with people in the locker room. So I'm sitting there wondering, like, you know what? Angel could probably get traded, because how can you make those kind of comments and expect to go back to that locker room with those same players? You can't. So, and the thing is, she was right. And look, Angel Reese is a national champion. She's not used to losing like they've been. She doesn't want to waste her time in the WNBA. So naturally, I think, and I don't know this, I think she requested the trade. And I think the Chicago GM probably had enough, because Angel Reese is bringing like negative news, so to speak. And they thought, you know what? Let's trade her. Let's see what we can get back for her. And I think it worked out for both sides, because the Atlanta Dream got better. I can tell you that.
Yeah. The reports are stating that she did not request a trade. Okay. However, and Josh, look, man, I want to hear your take before I go in on the ineptness of the Chicago Sky front office. But go ahead.
So maybe I might touch a little bit on the ineptness of the Chicago Sky. So the Chicago Sky last season were 10-34, the worst record in the WNBA. They were tied with the Dallas Wings. The Dallas Wings had the number 1 pick. They had Paige Becker. So we know that was going to be, you starting at the bottom, you got to build up. We understand that. The Atlanta Dream, they were 30-14. They were tied with the Las Vegas Aces for the second best record in the WNBA. So I'm going to touch it from the Atlanta side, because that's the side that got better. I mean, I don't know how Angel Reese can't help a team that's 30-14 be better. Are they going to win the championship? I'm not going to say they are. No, WNBA free agency is just getting started, so let's see what happens. Injury plays a factor, stuff like that. But for me, I'm not trying to minimize her game. Let's just say at best she's a average offensive player, but a good to great defensive player. You can win with that. I mean, like, we've seen players in the NBA win with that. I'm not calling her, when I make these comparisons, I'm not saying she's these type of players. I've seen Dikembe Mutombo. He didn't have the greatest offensive game. He played well. Rudy Gobert. I don't want to keep picking on the Frenchman, but Rudy Gobert is not a great offensive player, like, at all. The Jazz don't run. I mean, let's say the Jazz. The Jazz, the Timberwolves, France. This is going to tell you about Rudy Gobert. They had a 16-year-old kid over there named Victor Wembanyama. They're like, yeah, you up next. And Rudy Gobert was standing right there. They're like, no, we want him. You over there? No, Rudy, I'm here. No, you. Come on. Like that. Like, so that tells me, like, Rudy Gobert is a good player. He deserves to be in the NBA. Bro, you're not moving mountains. So again,
Tristan Thompson made $80 million at an $80 million contract one time with the Cleveland Cavaliers. He religiously had games with 6 points, 18 rebounds.
He got 100.
We go back even farther. Ben Wallace, zero offensive game.
Yeah,
Come on, man.
Like, he's an all-time great defensive player. So I'm gonna play him to the side. Yeah. Tristan Thompson is perfect. Tristan Thompson got $100 million. Brother never averaged 10 points. So I'm like, so listen, I think Angel Reese can make the Atlanta Dream better. They were 30-14 last year, tied for second place in the WNBA. I'm glad they don't do East and West no more. They just do it 1 through 10, 12, 13, 14, however many teams.
For now.
Yeah, for now. Eventually they are. Yeah, they are.
For now. Yeah, I don't want the NBA to ever do that.
Me neither. I do.
Yeah.
I do.
I don't.
I'm tired of these bogus teams that have they're like 10 games under 500 in the Eastern Conference having a chance to make the playoffs. What are we doing?
Have you you've looked at the standings as it stands now, right?
He's not talking
I'm
about
not
that.
talking about this season. I'm just saying.
He's talking about in general.
every year,
Yeah,
it's
in the
like-
past, exactly, in the past. But my whole thing with that is that teams and conferences run in cycles. Okay. So yeah, you had this long period where the Western Conference was, was the dominant, where you had Midland teams fighting for playing in the East. That's always going to flip. It's a cycle. It is a cycle. I wouldn't mind seeing divisions go, because we don't look at divisions anymore anyway. Just base it off the conferences, but leave it at that. But to get back to Angel Reese, the Atlanta Dream was the best team in the Eastern Conference in the NBA. I mean, the WNBA's Eastern Conference last year. Okay. Ryan Howard. My God, why am I forgetting other? They have a loaded team, and the Angel Reese, the Angel Reese trade balances them out. Okay, to me, they're the favorites in the East. All right, it's good. It will, depending on how everything falls out with free agency. The three best teams that you're looking at in the East: Dream, New York Liberty, Indiana Fever. With the Fever and the Dream now being the marquee rivalry in the league. Needed. Okay. Needed. All right. And okay, on the court and off the court, fits Atlanta like a glove.
100%.
Like a glove.
100%.
She about to run the A. I'm telling you, she is a.
Her jersey already sold out. Her jersey already sold out.
As it relates to and with jerseys selling out, and what's also going to be selling out is that arena. They're gonna have to expand where they play. That arena that they're playing at right now is a little bit too small. And when you look at the attendance numbers from last year, okay, look. I am never going to talk any Caitlin Clark hate. Okay, my hate is not against Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is a great Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark fans are the worst because they are what you just said.
Yes.
They're that big C, casual. All right. I mean, okay. There's this one content creator, and he does the WNBA. I'm not gonna bring his light skin ass up by now.
Typical.
Because I'm not. However, all his content is pro Clark, anti Reese. So he's what I like to call a WNBA grifter. You're getting you're getting yourself off and your numbers off because you grifted because you started watching Caitlin Clark 4 years ago. And and I saw what his clowns where he talked about what a great move it was that the that the Chicago Sky got rid of the cancer in the locker room. That was Angel Reese. Here's how I know your ass is a casual. Okay. Do you know who Sylvia Fowles is? Do you know who Elena Della Dawn is? You probably don't, you punk. You probably don't. And the reason why you don't is because your ass has been watching the WNBA and watching women's college basketball in the first place for the past 4 years. The two people that I just mentioned are Hall of Famers that started off in the Chicago Sky, and the minute they minute they got a chance to get the hell out of Chi-Town, they did. Sylvia Fowles went to Minnesota and won chips.
Elena Delavadon went to DC and won a title.
Candace Parker is the only outlier. Like, she actually is from Chicago, came there and ended up winning the championship. But she's probably the only outlier there.
Yeah, she's the only outlier.
But she got her ring and she got the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah, she went. Did she go to the Aces?
And I'm going to Vegas before she retired.
Oh my God!
Okay. She went to the Aces to come off the bench.
Think about it. And she was starting on the Sky. She was starting on the Sky. So that tells you everything you need to know.
The issue has always been ownership and front office with Chicago. All right. And I feel sorry for Cardozo. I really do. Because, she's another player that if the Sky don't get it together, is going to be looking at the front door as well.
I definitely agree with that.
Same with Haley Van Liv too. That's another good player they're probably going to wish.
Yeah, Haley.
Exactly. I mean, shoot, you saw Courtney Vandersloot had to get out, go, play 2 years with the Liberty, get her ring, and now went back there for her retirement tour, and that's just because she was one of the greatest players, in their franchise history, which ain't saying that much.
Yeah, unfortunately.
C. Perry, while we have you here, brother, we're going to wrap it up. We're going to actually wrap the show up, brother, with NBA talk. This is the last week of the NBA season. JG and I will give out our yearly NBA awards. Soon we finalize who's eligible for an award and who's not eligible for an award. I'm sure you guys know about the 65. You have minimum 65 games. So, C. Perry, last week of the NBA season, what's your biggest storyline going into the NBA playoffs?
Biggest storyline going into the NBA playoffs? Going into the NBA playoffs, I'm still looking at Oklahoma City and the Spurs to see if they're actually going to march to a meeting in the finals. Okay. Now, at the beginning of this season and on the Sideline Junkies NBA preview, I picked the Denver Nuggets to come out of the West.
So did
I have not wavered from that. Okay. Right now, the San Antonio Spurs are ahead of schedule. They're ahead of schedule. So they're my outliers. The Oklahoma City Thunder, I did not have them making the conference final. And even right now, I still don't have them making the conference finals.
Who they gonna lose to?
Well, hey, honestly,
the Lakers?
No, if it shakes out the way that I think it could, and by the end of the season, they could see the Nuggets in the semifinals.
Oh, I would love that. Oh, I would. Oh, please, listen.
Now remember, there's still a few games left in the regular season, and the Lakers lead with that 3 seed is very, very slim.
No. The Nuggets currently have the 3 seed right now. So
there you go. So it's
OKC is 1, San Antonio is 2, Denver is 3. At 50,
Denver's 3, yeah.
Denver's. The Lakers are 50 and 28. Houston is 49 and 29. Take Minnesota out because Anthony Edwards. By the way, Jay, we might have to talk about that at some point in time. Minnesota, I heard Anthony Edwards got runner's knee. Steph Curry ain't playing like a month and a half with runner's knee. So if he can't play in the playoffs, they out. So let's just put Minnesota to the side for now.
Yeah.
The Lakers can't drop no worse than 5. So, I mean, it's Houston. I just like this blindly out here. I picked Denver to win the championship before the season started. I am very interested this last week to find out the 2 seed and the 3 seed in the Western Conference. Because if the 2 seed and the 3 seed in the Western Conference stay the same, then the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to the NBA Finals. Because you only have to, I've said this about the Spurs. In the playoffs, you only want to play one of those series. I'd rather play those in the Western Conference Finals. Now, we've seen the Spurs match up well with the Thunder during the regular season. Hey, JG, remember last year? I saw a team match up with another team. They lost in the playoffs, second round. Boston swept the Knicks. They lost to them in the second round. So just because you beat a team in the regular season does not mean you can beat them in the playoffs. Now, no disrespect to, because C. Perry, a Knicks fan, JG. No disrespect to, there you go. No disrespect to the Knicks or the Celtics. The ace that the Spurs have is about from here to the sky ace. So I understand that every team don't have that ace. I get that. Victor Wembanyama. But alien. But for me, I'm looking at that 2-3 line. Because that 2-3 line, if it's San Antonio and Denver, I think the NBA Finals matchup, and we'll obviously we'll make a prediction before the playoffs start, JG. But I think it's going to be, if it's to stay the same, I think it's going to be Oklahoma City and Boston.
You know how I feel about Boston, how I felt about Boston since
Nikola Vucevic. Yeah, I remember that.
It's an underrated pickup that still is not being talked about enough. Denver reminds me a lot of that year when Oklahoma City, everyone thought that, okay, this is the year where they break through. They're a little bit ahead of schedule, like you said, C. Perry. But then an older team, a team that kind of people like undervalued, kind of forgot about. Mm-hmm. Dallas Mavericks, Luka, Kyrie. Mm-hmm. They came in and like said, hey, it's not your time yet. Y'all coming, but ain't your time yet. That's who Denver reminds me of when it comes to San Antonio. San Antonio is a popular pick. We know about the dominance they've had against Oklahoma City in the regular season. Playoffs are a different animal, as we know. But the Spurs remind me of Oklahoma City back when they weren't quite ready just yet. Really talented team. You knew they were coming, right on the cusp. Wembanyama is obviously a different type of animal. But I look at Denver. The only thing that separates me from saying Denver can get to the finals and not is Jamal Murray. Which Jamal Murray am I going to get in the playoffs? Now, historically, Jamal Murray has been a monster in the playoffs. In the biggest moments, he will go nuts and drop 50 points in 3.5 quarters. If I get that Jamal Murray in these playoffs, Spurs can't beat Denver. It's not going to happen. Will it be a good series? Sure. But Murray is the key that determines whether Nuggets go to the West Finals or the Spurs go to the West Finals. And it also, to a degree, will determine who in that matchup in the playoffs will do. Because if Oklahoma City has like an easier time getting to the West Finals, they're more rested versus a San Antonio team that has a grueling series with the Denver Nuggets, but manages to get out. To me, that favors Oklahoma City. And that's a situation where I see Dallas Mavericks versus OKC back when OKC wasn't quite ready just yet. And it was still like another team's time. I think Oklahoma City now is the experienced team. They've gone through it. They've won the championship. They understand how to play at this time of the year. So I feel like that upcoming series that we all think is going to happen will tell the tale.
Hey, Jay, let me say this. You're right. Oklahoma City lost that series, but they went out and made ancillary moves. That's the scary part that I be trying to tell people about the Spurs. Y'all think they're ahead of schedule. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not saying they're going to do this. Why would the Spurs not? If they lose in the second round to Denver in a 6-7 game grueling series, why wouldn't the Spurs pick up the phone and call Milwaukee and say, "What's up with Giannis?" Like, why wouldn't you? So and I'm not, because I like the Spurs. So people are like, "You're going for the biggest fish." Okay. I'm trying to think of somebody in New Orleans maybe the Spurs could use, or Utah not trading nobody because they try and build up. Portland try and build up. New Orleans, let's say, this will never happen, but let's say DeJounte Murray wanted to come back. Okay, let's get him back. Like, the Spurs haven't made the move that the Thunder made. The Thunder went out and got Alex Caruso. They went out and got Isaiah Hartenstein. Not big, sexy names, but they were sexy for them because they filled their team needs. They filled what they needed. And that Dallas team needed.
Jared McCain this season.
Jared McCain, another one. Just come in. They got
for nothing. That's a really good player to add to your firepower.
Exactly. To be in the rotation as well. So, no, I agree with you on that. But because I feel like we all dancing around, so we might as well talk about that Victor Wembanyama, that San Antonio Spurs, Denver Nuggets game on Saturday, which, by the way, I love the NBA. I know I'm on the screen with 3 people. I wish I could have my solo camera. NBA, let me take these off. Why the hell would you put the Spurs and the Nuggets Saturday at 3:00 on Amazon? That makes no sense. You should probably have it in prime time. You get a good number. I get the Final Four was on. But with them blowout games, people easily would have flipped off.
That's why. But that's
no, I get it. I get it. No, I get it. But yeah, You want to see that Wemby and Joker match up prime time.
Just put it on ESPN or something, like, where everybody can see it at least.
Yo, funny. Surprised it wasn't on Peacock.
Yeah. Good points. No, man. Look, I'll say this: good takes as it comes to the West. But I'm still looking at that. I'm still looking at that experience with Denver. Okay. I also look at trends, man. And your last couple of champions were out in the second round.
Yeah. Last 7 champions haven't made it past the first round.
And look, I'm sorry. I can see Oklahoma City falling victim to that. All right. And look, even if it's against the Lakers, I can actually see them falling victim to that.
You think the Lakers could beat the Thunder?
On a good day? No.
Oh,
on a good day, hell no. Okay.
right.
But at the same time, a Dallas-led Luka team who they knock out in the second round.
A Dallas-led Luka team did what? I'm sorry, you was going up.
The Dallas-led Luka team made it to the finals. Okay, and no one saw that coming.
I got to push back on you with that one. Here's why they're two different teams. Dallas had guys that actually played defense. The Lakers don't have those guys.
Yeah, and let me say this.
You ain't beating OKC unless you play defense. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to.
Let me say this. We talk about Tim Duncan being disrespected. Cool. Kyrie Irving, the most disrespected guy I ever seen in my life. Man hit a big shot for LeBron. Is all LeBron title. Kyrie Irving was on that Mavs team that went to the finals. Let me say, Luka was the overall best player, but at times Kyrie could take that man and be the best player. So, like, my point is that I get that. I understand that. Listen, I love you. I watch your show every week. You know that. Yeah, the Lakers have no chance. They can go get Shaq. They can go get Magic. They can go get Kareem. They can go get James Worthy. They have no chance of beating the Thunder. Not this now. I will say, could they have beat the Spurs? Yeah, because I feel like experience, because that's essentially what we're saying with Denver. Experience could come and take over. But I saw the Lakers and the Thunder on the same court a couple weeks ago. And I only watched a half of that, and I realized very quickly, like, listen, I went outside, started cutting the grass. It was 8:30 p.m. East Coast time. It was dark outside. So I could start doing other stuff. You get what I'm saying? Like,
I turned the game off midway through the first quarter because I already saw how this was going to go. Like, I saw it. And the thing is, look, you talk about that Dallas team. You got to remember, Luka Doncic with Kyrie Irving was your offensive punch. You had PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, and Derek Lively back there protecting the paint. That's a whole different animal than what we're talking about with the Lakers. They don't have any resemblance of that. They just now at full strength, offensive firepower. Yeah, sure. You can probably score with most teams in the NBA, but eventually, if those three guys are your best players, you're probably not going to win a lot because they're not good defenders. Like Reeves tries, even Luka has tried. LeBron at this stage in his career, you can't ask a guy at 41 to play decent defense like that all through a series.
I see what you guys are saying, Trust. Okay, I see what you're saying. However, we all know that the playoffs can be a different beast.
No, I get it.
And that, and there's always going to be a surprise somewhere. It wouldn't surprise me. Am I calling it? No.
You're not calling it. But let me ask you this. Let me say this. In order for your thought to come true of the Thunder not making it past the second round, I think, and I can't believe I'm saying this because I had no respect for this team a couple weeks ago, but they are playing better now. Obviously, you can't match them up with the Spurs and the Nuggets because they have to match up against each other. I think that team right now currently would be the Rockets. They're out of the Lakers, Minnesota, and Houston. They're playing the best ball. So I would give them a puncher's chance. I would give them the best puncher's chance to beat OKC over the Lakers and over Minnesota. I told you about Ant, man. The man got runner's knee, so that ain't gonna work.
I can't buy into Houston, man. I can't.
I got you.
It's hard, man. It's like I just that Fred VanVleet injury is so glaringly obvious, man. It's like you can disrupt this offense so easily, especially when you're a great defensive team like Oklahoma City. You can disrupt the hell out of that offense. Like Jabari Smith is so up and down. You don't know which guy you're going to get. Reed Shepherd don't know which guy you're going to get. He can shoot, but you don't know defensively. That's barbecue chicken. You're going to put him on Shea? Good luck.
No, you're not going to put him on Shea. Hell no.
Well, they're going to find him. They're going to make him have the guard Shea.
No, I got you.
You want to switch everything. Pray for that kid. And then KD, my God, there's only so much you can do.
Go ahead,
and just looking at the standings and knowing how many games we have left, it's hard for me to see Minnesota jump from 6 to 4.
Yeah, they're not. They can't.
Okay.
They're in at 6.
Yeah, and they're 6, and Houston is 3 clear of them at 5.
Yeah, 49 and 29 and 43. Yeah. I said 49 and 29 and 46 and 32. So now they are clearing them 3 games.
I mean, Houston will have to can the rest of their games left, and Minnesota has to be on it to grab that 5 seed. And unfortunately, I don't see it.
Yeah, me neither. I definitely agree with you, fellas. It has been a pleasure. C. Perry, I want to thank you for coming on Highly Opinionated. You're always welcome, Unc. We love you. Keep doing what you're doing.
Appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you make sure you follow, like, subscribe to Club JG. Club JG. Follow, like, subscribe to Club JG podcast as well. But follow, like, subscribe, Sideline Junkie Podcast Network. Follow, like, subscribe, Nothing But Net, a great basketball show Wednesday nights at 7:30 on the Sidelines Junkie Podcast Network. Ladies and gentlemen, for the best editor, the best producer, the best guy in the game, Ross, for the great C. Perry, my co-host, my guy, make sure you follow, like, and subscribe. I said it earlier, the Club JG Podcast. I am Merely Josh. We will see you guys next week. We are out.